It's it's got implications around the world. Many people talking about this being really a situation which is emboldening global jihadists. What's your take?
Taliban was the principal provider of sanctuary and training together with Al-Qaeda to 30 to 40 different terrorist groups in the late 1990s and 2000, 2001. At the time, US intervened. In fact, Al-Qaeda's 9/11 attack was planned in Afghanistan when Taliban was in power in Afghanistan. So the international community is concerned that so many terrorist groups will once again work with Taliban, and Taliban will once again become an epicenter of transnational crime and terrorism.
Yep, so there's that concern there. Rohan, can you tell us a bit more about, the U.S. and other Western governments are expecting the Taliban will honor assurances that they're going to allow citizens and Afghans who work with them to leave the country freely. Can and will the Taliban honor those and respect this safe zone proposal?
Taliban has come to power by military force. It's not constitutional. And Taliban will do what they want. Taliban ideology has not significantly changed. That is why it is important for the United States, for Europe and other countries to ensure that there are elections in Afghanistan. An inclusive government comes to power in Afghanistan. If Taliban itself is going to rule Afghanistan, then of course they will go back to old ways of providing sanctuary and support to this global terrorist alliance. Already 40 terrorist groups from around the world, mostly Al-Qaeda-centric groups, have congratulated Taliban. So I don't think Taliban will listen to the West. I think it is very important for Western governments and the international community, Pakistan, Qatar, to work together with Taliban to ensure that there are elections and an inclusive government comes to power in Afghanistan.
But does the West here, Rohan, have any leverage on the Taliban? Don't forget, it was a deal in a way. Let's face it. This time around, the Taliban does want certain things that only the West can give, i.e. they have a lot of money that could be repatriated, which is now frozen. They also want a seat in the United Nations. They're not going to get that without the help of the West. Now, tell me something. Is that enough to give the West leverage?
Western governments remain influential in Afghanistan and with those countries that are currently working with Taliban. For example, Pakistan, for instance, Qatar. And what is important is the West to ensure that there is stability and security in Afghanistan, because this is like going back to 20 years at the time when Taliban provided sanctuary to so many threat groups. So unless the West continues to engage Taliban and ensure there is a smooth transition to an inclusive government, Afghanistan will descend to chaos. And once again, it will become an epicenter for transnational crime and terrorism.
Rohan, do you think the U.S. can recruit Pakistan to contain the Taliban and terror activity there in the region, given the fact, as you say, there has been speculation that the Pakistan administration has supported or even sheltered the Taliban in the past?
India joined the Quad, so there was a geopolitical change in the region. The United States' influence in Pakistan diminished, and that is why Pakistan worked very closely with Afghanistan to ensure there's a friendly regime towards Pakistan because of the huge Indian investment in Afghanistan. But now that Taliban has come to power, the US will have to work with Pakistan. US will have to work with Qatar that facilitated the Doha Agreement. So I believe that there should be a change in thinking, because there's a new actor in Afghanistan, and a very dangerous actor if the international community were to lose control of Taliban conduct and behavior.
So it does, according to many of the columnists, seem that Pakistan has gained a victory here, albeit at a heavy price, with influence of the Taliban. But don't forget they have their all-weather friend China as well, which wants to exploit some of the rich minerals, including rare earths, which are on the northern borders here. How much does that, where does that all leave India fundamentally, and where does it leave China?
India, China, Russia, Pakistan, all these countries are very interested in the economic resources, the economic potential in Afghanistan and in Central Asia. And I believe that that is one of the reasons the Chinese, the Russians are interested in Afghanistan. And certainly, if that economic potential is harnessed, if they can work with Taliban, they will have some influence over Taliban. But certainly Taliban itself should not govern Afghanistan. If they do that, without controls, without accountability, without checks, without democracy, then we will go back to 20 years, what happened, and Afghanistan will not be a stable country. It will be a place where so many threat groups will operate.